probably the biggest story of the week, obviously, it's not just the 1 week, but just this resurgence of the Bears. I mean, they've scored now they've scored 53% of their drives the past 3 weeks. It's the highest rate in the NFL. And it's not just they're scoring points. If you look at like this run out that they've had, they have scored 33, 29, 32 points. And they've also done that against the Cowboys, the Patriots. I know the Dolphins have been bad, but especially on the road. But to have those games as part of that sample against the Cowboys and Patriots definitely holds some water for me. So like, how much do you buy into like this Bears? The Bears is like a high scoring fantasy offense, and kind of how do we handle it the rest of the season with some of these guys that probably were left for dead in a lot of leagues, like Darnell Mooney, definitely Cole Kmet. I don't really know how much boost we're going to get, but listen, people need tight ends. We know that in fantasy football, and then specifically the running back split too. Like, how are we handling like this Bears offense now, and kind of the revitalization they've had now under Luke Getsy as this thing's gained some steam?
I mean, Reeves, you know as well as I do, they're doing smart things.
Yes.
It's fantastic to watch a team, an offense, and a scheme be built around a player and his strengths. And the other part about it is like Getsy's just doing smart things. Like you can almost kind of just look at like play action rates for quarterbacks and say, okay, look at the top of the league and say, okay, sharp play caller, sharp player caller, sharp play caller, sharp play. Okay, here's the bottom of play action rates. Okay, yeah, you suck. And I mean, Fields is 8th in play action rate. He's first in design runs. He's tied with Jalen Hurts. And 41% of those runs have come over the last 3 games. So it's money, dude. Like, I love it. And I've been out there trying to tell people, I'm like, I think I put out the tweet like a week or 2 ago. I was like, look, if you need a wide receiver 3 with upside down the stretch, and I got so much hate on this, was go get Darnell Mooney. And people are like, oh, Darnell Mooney. Like, I was like, he's not bad. Like, legit. Like, since this offense has found its legs, Darnell Mooney has been a wide receiver 3 or better over, like, I think, like, 5 of his last 7 games, something of that nature.
Yeah, 4 of his past 6.
Yeah, he's been a wide receiver 3, and the upside is there. Like, the guy has legitimately been, over the last, it's either 4 or 5 games, he's top 20 in PFF receiving grade and yards per route run. His target share has been fantastic. He owns a massive air yard share in this offense. And now with the addition of Chase Claypool, who now we're not going to get like, okay, because all of the things that people want to hate on for Fields and the offense and stuff, it's like, do you realize that, like, one, his offensive line has been substandard all season long? They've been proved they're good at run blocking and their pass protection. I'm a massive fan of Braxton Jones, who is really finding his legs over the back half of the season. That was a home run pick by Ryan Poles, who, honestly, side note, I think Ryan Poles is going to be an executive of the year conversation in the next 2 to 3 seasons. Like, I love everything he's done so far because you can kind of trace a lot of these things back. It's like, all the free agency signings, Reeves, like Byron Pringle has not been healthy, but you could kind of see why they got him. He was really good deep down the field. They want to stretch the field with Justin Fields. But back to the offense, I love it, man. Like, since week 7, they've been fantastic. And they've been doing all of this versus really good defenses. Like, they're top 8 in EPA per play and EPA per pass play. They're top 8 in points per game, points per drive, touchdowns per game. I mean, and honestly, I don't know if we see any of this stuff slow down, Reeves, because what they're doing is really, really smart. They're getting the quarterback out on the perimeter. They're scheming up easy looks for him. Now they have an added piece into this passing offense in Chase Claypool, who is going to be asked to win on the outside. We've seen him play in the slot this year. So while they've transitioned Darnell Mooney into being a 60% slot wide receiver this year, we know that he does have the ability to win outside. They can, hide him in trips packages and things like that, get him free releases. I think Claypool is going to add another added dimension to this offense. And really, if he gets his legs down the back half of the season, I think this offense is still going to put up fireworks. And with the running backs, look, I for all of the talk that they had about, we're going to ride the hot hand and we're going to, we're going to incorporate more Khalil Herbert. That happened for 1 game and then it's kapoof. It's gone away. Like, David Montgomery is on the backfield again. I think last week he played over 70% of the snaps. I actually have him ranked aggressively this week because I'm like, quietly, he's back to being, workhorse. I'm not going to say bell cow, but like in that 60 to 70% snap range. So I think he's a guy that if we're looking at anybody to kind of, if you're hurting at running backs or you're looking at a player where the usage and the narrative probably don't match up, is with David Montgomery, because he's not going to hit home runs, but he's been a good chunk runner. Like if you look at most of his tackle breaking metrics, they're still there. He's not going to blow anybody away with home runs, but he's been solid. They trust him in the passing game, and even when Khalil Herbert was factored in here, he still owned the route run share. So he's a good guy that I think that is being slept on a little bit for his usage in this offense. And if we're talking about the offense is going to be this high powered, or at least a watered down version, like they're going to put up points, David Montgomery is going to get touchdown opportunities down the back half of the season.
Yeah, you always want to follow the guy that gets that passing game usage, man, because when the shit hits the fan, we know who's in the game. And that's kind of what happened the last 2 weeks. Like they had to try to score with Dallas, and then obviously they tried to try to score with Miami, and he's just going to be in the game a lot more when you have to throw more. So maybe we see Herbert bounce back a little bit if they can kind of control that game. If Detroit kind of does whatever their Jekyll and Hyde on road thing that they've got going on too. They've had so many injuries that stinks too, that you could have like a more of a dual back running game. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I have Montgomery higher. I think he's going to be interesting. He's going to be a pretty popular pivot this week off of Fields, who will be popular on DraftKings. Not as much. FanDuel got religion. FanDuel said, we'll make you, if everyone's going to play you, we'll make you the third highest price quarterback. Like, he's as much as Mahomes on FanDuel. So, like, they're at least a decision. Yeah, they ain't playing around, man.
I hadn't even looked at FanDuel pricing, but that's woo.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, if everyone's gonna play him, like we're just gonna make him. They've actually, it's crazy, it's weird because the years of doing DFS, the decade of doing it is, FanDuel typically has not been as sharp as pricing, and this year they have dominated DraftKings in terms of pricing. But very rare to see. Very rare to see.
And honestly, I think it's really curious when you look at a lot of the FanDuel pricing, because I know when Joe and I have talked on our Friday show, we can go through the slate. He's like, I mean, look at the FanDuel price. I don't know if I want to pay for this guy. And I'm like, well, that's one of the reasons why I want to move towards him. Like, if people are like, I don't want to play Fields because he's that expensive as Mahomes, I'm just kind of like, well, then I'm going to play more Fields, because then people are not going to want to pay for him. So I'm like, okay, well, if he drops and he's not popular because they priced him up so aggressively, then I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just going to click the button.
I mean, even prior to last week, Fields had 4 straight QB1 scoring weeks. He was coming off back-to-back games with over 20 DraftKings points, and he was still 5,300. Like, okay, that's why everyone picked it. That's why he was at everyone's roster last week.
We'll talk about some cash game plays later, but like they have been slow to move up guys.
Oh yeah, they did with Tyler Lockett for like half the year. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker's been a guy. Kenneth
Walker's still been too freaking cheap. Damian Pierce is too damn cheap.
It took a month of everyone playing Josh Jacobs to make him over 7K. Like it was a lot. There's been a lot of slow moving parts over there.